Why skip? Wait, are you doing the, oh no, you did not amor factor pain him. Aw, dude. Yo, chat, should I give you guys a quick rundown on cannot conduct and skipping phases? The reason why you don't go to the main phase 2 is you cannot physically go to the main phase 2 from the main phase 1. And because he can't enter the battle phase here, you can't go to main phase 2, so you go straight from main phase 1 to the end phase. There's a really messed up interaction with this that I can run you guys through if you guys want something really papega. I'm gonna blow your minds, chat. I'm absolutely gonna give you guys, like, all of you are about to get an aneurysm. You guys ready? Say you have a card that says that you, okay, I'm basically gonna quiz chat. Okay, I'm gonna quiz chat. Abyss Megalo. Can you activate the effect of Abyss Megalo, this effect that I'm highlighting here? Can you activate this effect of Mermail Abyss Megalo on turn 1 of the duel? Yes or no? Most people know this one. No, you cannot. Okay. So, say it is not the first turn of the duel. Say it's turn 3 or whatever the fuck. And in your last turn, or during your opponent's turn, your Mooling Glacier left the field. Which is if this face-up card leaves the field, skip the battle phase of your next turn. During your next turn, when you have to skip your battle phase, can you activate the effect of Mermail Abyss Megalo during that turn in which you need to skip your battle phase? People saying yes. Okay. Now, what if you've activated Soul Charge previously this turn? After having activated Soul Charge in your main phase 1, are you allowed to use this effect of Mermail Abyss Megalo? You cannot. Okay, so chat is very familiar with the fact that if you need to skip a phase, you still technically attempt to enter said phase and then get immediately moved out of it. As opposed to cannot conduct, you do not even enter said phase in the first place. Okay? Now that this is understood, things get a little bit more complicated. What if you have a card like DD Borderline applying? Okay? If you have DD Borderline applying, so I control Mermail Abyss Megalo, and my opponent controls DD Borderline, and they have no spells in their graveyard. They have no spells in their grave. Am I allowed to activate the effect of Mermail Abyss Megalo under DD Borderline? Everyone is saying no. Everyone's doubling down on no. You can. You are allowed to activate the effect of Mermail Abyss Megalo for the simple reason that the DD Borderline can't stop applying. So because there's a possibility that you might have a battle phase this turn, you are allowed to activate the Mermail Abyss Megalo under DD Borderline in your main phase 1. Because you can say, pop the DD Borderline, a spell could end up in your opponent's graveyard, so because there's a possibility of it, you are allowed to activate Mermail Abyss Megalo. Now we get into the fucky-wucky, chat. We get into the fucky-wucky. I'm going to blow your minds. I'm going to absolutely explode your craniums. Your noggin's about to explode. I have activated and resolved Heat Wave in my turn. During my opponent's turn, I activate Reckless Greed, which says I skip my next 2 draw phases. Heat Wave says, neither player can special affect monsters until your next draw phase. If I activate Reckless Greed, does my Heat Wave continue to apply for 2 additional turns? The answer is no. The answer is no. The answer is no. The answer is no. This absolutely does not keep applying. That would be stupid if it did. If it kept applying, it would be stupid. The reason why it stops applying is because Reckless Greed skips the phase. It does not make it so that you cannot conduct your draw phase, so you still attempt to enter the draw phase and then get immediately moved out of the draw phase. Therefore, you still reach draw phase, so the Heat Wave wears off. Now for the thing that's going to blow your minds. So, my opponent activates and resolves Frozen Soul during my turn. Okay? Which says your opponent's skip your opponent's next battle phase. And previously in that turn, like in another turn, my Mooling Glacier says if this face-up card leaves the field, skip the battle phase of your next turn. So during my opponent's turn, my Mooling Glacier leaves the field, and on my turn, my opponent uses Frozen Soul. What happens? Do I skip 1 battle phase? Do I skip 2 battle phases? Do I skip no battle phases? How exactly does this work? Would both of them apply on the same battle phase, or do I skip 2 battle phases? You only skip 1. Very good, chat. Now for the thing that will blow your mind. If my opponent activates Frozen Soul during my main phase 1, which says skip your opponent's next battle phase, And then I activate Soul Charge, which says that I cannot conduct my battle phase this turn. The way this plays out, I cannot conduct my battle phase this turn. So because I never entered the battle phase, then I cannot skip my battle phase. Therefore, because I didn't conduct my battle phase this turn didn't happen. Therefore, I did not skip my next battle phase. It simply didn't occur. I didn't conduct it. Meaning that if I Soul Charge and my opponent Frozen Souls me, I don't conduct my battle phase this turn, and I skip my battle phase of the next turn. That's 2 battle phases gone. Crazy stuff, right? Which is why it's important to know the difference between skipping and not being able to conduct a certain phase. It's really funny. For example, if a card said, unless like Konami made up like some weird ruling for it, if a card specifically said, you cannot conduct your draw phase, not skip, cannot conduct your draw phase, the heat wave would continue to apply probably. Don't quote me on this because there's no card in the game that does this from what I know. So probably is how it would work unless Konami, like, you know, said something otherwise. Maybe Konami shouldn't make such convoluted rulings for no reason. Maybe. If your opponent uses Dugaris to special summon a monster, and next turn go from M1 directly to end phase, they still have to skip battle phase in their next turn. Okay, so technically, yes. Technically. So say your opponent uses, so what does Dugaris say? What does Dugaris say? No, this says skip the battle phase of your next turn. As opposed to Frozen Soul, which just says skip your opponent's next battle phase. Say I'm playing against someone, and I Frozen Soul my opponent. If I Frozen Soul my opponent in their main phase 1, and they go straight from the main phase 1 to the end phase, they did not attempt to enter their battle phase, therefore they didn't skip their battle phase. They just simply never entered it. But in order to skip a phase, you need to attempt to enter it. Meaning that if I Frozen Soul my opponent and they go straight from main phase 1 to the end phase, then they still need to skip their battle phase of the following turn. Okay, so say my opponent uses Heat Wave while I already control the world. This is not just on summon, right? This is just once per turn. Oh, when this card is summoned. Oh, it's just during your end phase. You can do this every turn. I see what you mean. I've used the effect of I've summoned and used the coin toss effect of Arcana Force the World, landed on heads, meaning that during my end phase, I can send 2 monsters I control to the graveyard to skip my opponent's next turn. This end phase, I don't use that effect. My opponent then uses Heat Wave and passes turn back to me. Okay? Then on my turn, during the end phase, I do use the effect of Arcana Force the World. The question is, would skipping my opponent's turn make Heat Wave wear off, or would Heat Wave still apply? I don't know the actual answer to this, but it would make sense to me that the Heat Wave stops applying. But I don't actually know the answer to this. I genuinely don't know the answer to this. I feel as though you still enter their turn and still like go through the action of like skipping all their phases, but I don't actually know.